Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Montgomery IDA meeting for October 12th. Welcome. I'd like to introduce our board and associates here. We got Ashley Torrey, just ran in. Welcome. Good to see you.
Hello, everyone. Sorry.
And we have John Dixon, Matt Stoddard, board members, Connor Eckert, our executive director. In back, we have Megan Harper, our secretary. I'm Jeff Christ, board chair. Bob Santo, Tom Jones, board members, Billy Iverson on the live stream, and Laura Evans doing the stenography. Our first item today is consideration of the September 14th meeting minutes, and some of those will include at a future date, and we'll have to act on them later. Laura's stenography work for Walden Construction. Ashley, I would think we could approve the minutes otherwise, or should we wait and do them next month in complete fashion?
So were you going to be incorporating the actual transcript into the minutes, or?
I think the way we have them set up, we do note that they're there. Megan also did your minutes, right? Because I read through them for Walden Construction. So
If the minutes themselves are going to be saying they're included, then you should wait, but if it's going to be two separate things where you're just going to have the minutes and then the transcript separate?
Actually, it's a transcript for Cardinal Healthcare that we need the transcript and are not part of these minutes. So in that case, we could approve these and add that later, or you're suggesting just wait?
I don't think I have the minutes in front of me.
Yes,
I'm
so-
just wondering if it refers to the transcript, if it's going to be
Yes. That's
incorporated
right.
in, then I would say to wait.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. Sounds good, because it does say, please see minutes of public hearing which are attached, and they're not.
Yeah, so then,
Okay, thank you. We'll forgo the approval of those minutes. Our next item is continuation of a public hearing for Cardinal Healthcare expansion. We do have a call-in number based on the executive order that people can still participate remotely. And do we know if Ed is on the line? I didn't double check with you if he was able to join remotely as board member, Ed Williams. Okay, we are not aware he's on the line at this time. And this continued public hearing was requested from the public, and also to give the public more chance to weigh in on the proposed expansion of Cardinal Healthcare. Charlie Bazidlo, would you like to just update us on any changes? And I know you have a gentleman with you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Charlie Bazidlo, outside counsel for Cardinal Healthcare. And Mike is here also with me from Cardinal, local representative. Basically, the project, just a quick summary, 500 Neely Town Road is the address. We're looking to do about a 310,000 square foot building addition. It was part of overall site plan approval that was done on a larger project quite a number of years ago. About a $24 million cost. I'll just give some quick highlights. There's currently employed about 241 employees. This project will add another 60 employees to it. But key thing I'll again highlight is that it will only result in about 15 additional truck trips a day, because a lot of this operation is already happening at the facility. And when we do build this replenishment center, the idea is to stock that material here, but continue that same flow in and out of the building. So I just want to always note that though it sounds like a large building, 15 trucks a day type of situation. Where we're at, we're going through our review process with the planning board. We had a work session this last Wednesday, I guess it was. We're back on again for next month. We're working through the seeker items with them, as well as the site, general site plan issues. I would hope to have a secret decision out of them December, I would imagine at this point. And that's pretty much where we're at. We have not seen any, major obstacles that have come up in the planning board review at this point, so.
Okay,
Okay.
very good. Mike, did you have any comments? And your last name, just for the record?
Zatlikel.
Okay.
Great.
With that, I would open up the public hearing for public comments, if anyone's here who would like to comment on this project. And while we're waiting, if anyone does get our attention, either in the audience or on the call-in line, Connor, did we receive any letters or comments written-wise over the last month?
No, Mr. Chairman, we've received no additional questions or comments through letter.
And can you see if anyone's on the line?
Is anyone on the line that would wish to make a public comment with respect to the Cardinal Health expansion project?
Very good. Other questions from the board? Any other questions? I know we had good discussion last month. Not hearing any questions and nobody from the audience. I think we could consider closing the public hearing. We were requested to keep it open this extra period. And we've had no comments since our last meeting, to my knowledge. Ashley?
Yes, if there's no additional comments, it would be appropriate to close the public hearing.
Okay.
You just won't be able to make any decisions as they proceed with the seeker review before the planning board.
Correct. Yep. So would anyone care to make that motion by Matt Stoddard?
I'll second it.
John Dixon, a second. Other discussion on the motion to close the public hearing? All in favor of that motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same? Motion carried. Public hearing is now closed. We'll await the planning board action for the completion of your application there, and expecting that will come at some point in the fairly near future. We'll see you again then. Thank you, Mike and Charlie. Our next item, as we do each meeting, is invite public comment on items on the agenda. I would ask if anyone in the audience has comments on the agenda items for today. And on the call-in line, John Ramos?
John Ramos, Village of Walden Mayor, Chairman, gentlemen, ladies. October 5th, obviously, we've received some correspondence from the applicant and through the IDA, and I greatly appreciate the due diligence that the applicant and the board has given attention to the Falcons Rest project and rescinding their property tax pilot, which I really didn't want to say, but I want to thank you for assisting us. We're a small village, and we count on certain things that makes us thrive, and I believe this project will make us thrive, especially when it comes to seniors. Obviously, there's a couple points that still have to be addressed before a decision can be made, and we look forward to working with the IDA and with the applicant to see if we can come up with a good outcome. But I want to again thank you very much.
Thank you, John. Appreciate it. Other comments either in the audience today or on the call-in line? I think that completes our public comment period, and we'll move on to Walden Construction Enterprise, which the Mayor of Walden, John Ramos, just commented on. And I believe Michelle Kennedy is here to bring us up to date on developments since last month. Michelle.
Thank you, Chairman Chris. We submitted a letter to the IDA dated October 5th in which we officially recognize that the applicant is amending their application so as not to request a pilot in terms of real property tax abatement. Our request remains the same with respect to the sales and use tax exemption and with respect to the mortgage recording tax exemption. We asked the executive director in consideration of this request to revisit the benefit to cost ratio as provided within the agency's cost-benefit analysis. He did so, and that is published to your website. It does result in a change in the benefit-to-cost ratio from 2-to-1 to 9-to-1. So in other words, the benefits outweigh the costs by 9-to-1 when we exclude the pilot from the analysis. So we would ask the board to take that into very careful consideration, the significant jump in benefits to costs. Additionally, we, as I said at the outset of the public hearing, we intended and we still intend to be responsive to the concerns of the board, to the concerns of the village. And one of the questions that was raised was something that, of course, without being an economic analyst, I was not able to answer at the public hearing, but I have since requested of Camoin Associates to provide a report that addresses what the benefits would be if they rely upon an assumption that the units are more likely to be occupied by residents from outside of the area as opposed to within the area. And the agency is in receipt of that report. Again, it's posted to your website. I think there's two material points that are worthy of note. The first is that they do recognize in their, with their expertise and of course with all of the data that they have available to them, that the median household income in the town of Montgomery range for those age 65 and older ranges between $70,000 to $99,000, and that's at the bottom of page 2 of their report. Additionally, they estimate an annual economic impact to the town of Montgomery and the village of Walden of $935,000 annually, and that appears on page 4 of your report. That assumes that of the household income for those residents from outside of the area, that approximately 25% of their spending would be occurring locally, and that's where those numbers derive from. So we're certainly willing to answer any questions that you have with respect to those figures and the most recent information to come to the board's attention. As I said, my clients, they are anxious to begin at this point to be able to apply for a building permit and to contract for workers. We recognize that your local labor policy with the sales and use tax exemption and the mortgage recording tax exemption would still apply. And so, they're anxious to begin that process. And so we would just ask the board to continue to move forward with diligence. And I think at this point, we don't have anything further in terms of our request, but we are very much interested to know if the board sees any remaining open items or has any remaining questions for us.
Thank you, Michelle. Certainly, the recalculation based on the excluding the pilot makes the numbers much more favorable, as you pointed out, and I know I appreciate, and the board has a copy of this. It was, I believe, forwarded by email to everybody, to our email for the IDA. That's very interesting, and I think answers some of your questions. Tom, do you have any follow-up questions?
No, I don't.
And would you concur this looks favorable?
I guess, by the numbers on the page, yes, it's favorable, but I don't know if that's an indication of the overall.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to push you on your final answer,
Thank
but
you.
it does seem to show some desirable results.
I would say they're improved results.
Anybody else on the board, further questions for the applicant at this time? Connor, you've reviewed this closely.
Yeah, I'll mention, one, we appreciate the diligence, and I'll also mention we did get a response from the Office of the State Comptroller, which referred to the, it's a 1985 opinion that puts the decision in the hands of the local government decision-making body. So we went to the ABO, we went to the AG, we went to the Office of State Comptroller, and the end result is they refer to the existing comptroller's opinion. So I'll add that for reference as well.
Thank you, Connor. Ashley, could you just review the process for us to make a consideration on the vote for this project? As far as the steps, we need a resolution.
Yes, you would need a resolution, and actually, what occurs with this type of project, it would likely be first, a resolution on finding whether it is a commercial project that's eligible for benefits. So there's really two determinations. The first is the eligibility question, and then if it's determined to be eligible, then the second would be whether to grant benefits, and if so, what type of benefits.
Very good. Well, it would be my thought that the time would be appropriate at our next meeting to make a decision. We've gained considerable information and feedback in the last month. We had a positive comment I think I can describe the mayor as speaking to with the declining of the pilot and the attributes of the project. So I would ask the board to prepare ourselves for digesting this new information and making a decision next month unless something arises that I would think is unforeseen. Yes, Michelle?
In terms of the scheduling, I have noticed, of course, throughout these proceedings that you have 5 board members, is that correct, out of a total of 7 seats, is that right?
6 out of 7. Ed Williams is not able to be here. We had expected him to be on the phone line today.
Okay.
So we have 6, right?
Because typically, I know Mr. Golden had mentioned that it would be possible to have a verbal decision, but then to have the resolutions approved at the following meeting. And I'm just wondering, since you do have the majority of the members here, and we were expecting a decision today, if we could at least have a verbal, and then the resolutions could be finalized in advance of that meeting. And we're really, all that we're asking for is that, that this would be, that you agree that this constitutes a commercial project. And then the second would be that you would, of course, we're requesting that the sales and use tax exemption, the mortgage recording tax exemption is approved, subject, to the review of council and the final approving a vote of the resolution by the board.
I would defer to our council on the appropriateness of that at this point. I understand their request as far as a verbal recognition of the eligibility, and secondly, a verbal vote on the project itself.
So I do believe, I wasn't present at that meeting, but the board, I'm sure, would recall better than me. I do believe Rick had spoken to you about that and whether you would want to make a verbal decision subject to a written resolution. I'm not sure, if the board's prepared to do that today, or if the board prepares to have the written, a written resolution in front of them to then act upon. It's the board's preference. I know you had just received this additional information from the applicant. I don't know whether everyone's had a chance to digest that all or is waiting for anything further.
I suspect, and I'll ask for board comment, that we would be more comfortable doing it all at once we have the documents in front of us. Bob could not be at the last meeting, and I know we've had some diligence and concerns that we now have some more answers to allow us to make that final decision. Board members, any thoughts on that comment?
As determined, Chris, are all members available for the next meeting? And certainly to take we just don't want to delay.
Sure.
In terms of your own availabilities, do you all anticipate being present at that meeting?
We've shown a lot of flexibility in making sure we have the appropriate attendance to do our job. I've spoken with Connor that I do have a conflict myself, and I plan to speak further with the rest of the board and see what their attendance would be for that meeting, and if we need to find a date that works better.
We'll defer to your ultimate determination as to the
Okay.
timing.
And we would certainly be forthcoming. We have to be from a public standpoint, but to you as the applicant with, if that date is changed.
Mr. Chairman, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you're saying even if the date is changed, the vote would still take place in November? We would still have our November meeting with likely attendance that's appropriate?
From our perspective, 4 of the members have been able to be present throughout the proceedings and receive all of the information throughout those proceedings. So if one of those members cannot be present at the time of the decision, it certainly is a disadvantage to the applicant.
So I think it's really twofold. Of course, the board needs a quorum to be able to take any action, so you need to have a quorum present, but then also if the applicant prefers to have a full board present, then that's a different question. So it's, every board member, even if they're not here, they do listen to the meeting, watch the minute, or read the minutes rather, familiarize themselves with all of the application documents and all of the statements that have been made, otherwise, they wouldn't be able to vote. So everyone on the board, I'm comfortable, is able to take action on it, but whether the applicant prefers a full complement of the board, then that's something, the board can try to arrange, if necessary, a meeting to have that where everyone can make it.
I think one further aspect of that, we would need a vote of 4 members in favor to approve the project.
Yes.
And maybe that's partly your point.
Right, and it is, and I don't mean to place pressure on the board in terms of a verbal decision versus written decision today, but it's noteworthy that you have 5 of your members here rather than 6. Once we start changing dates, I know that on a monthly basis, you reserve a certain date. And if we're going to start to fall under that number, it does create a disadvantage for any applicant, so.
Again, it's up to the board, of course, but I would note that there is that law in place now that allows for virtual meetings, so board members can either, call in, Zoom in. There is the ability, even if someone can't be here physically in person, you are all, able to be here virtually or remotely.
Ashley, with that, do we have to publish their location?
Not under the new law,
Under
it's
the
in effect
executive
until
order?
January, I think it's 15th, 2022,
Okay.
so
Because
that's
of
the
the
change where they
executive
don't
order.
have to publish, exactly.
Okay. Okay.
Well, I know the applicant has a lot invested here, time and money and efforts. I will certainly make the commitment to do my best to have as many of the board present as possible and carry out our responsibility to do our job that we're committed to under oath, so.
Okay, and we just simply would request if the board does not wish to make a verbal vote today, then that you would have a full board present. So we will make that request.
Okay,
Thank you.
very good. Thank you, Michelle, and the applicant for being here and for the further information that's been provided over the last month, as well as your letter to rescind the request on the pilot. That certainly, as the cost-benefit analysis shows, provides a much greater benefit to the project.
So, Mr. Chairman, if it makes sense, I'd be happy to share my perspective on kind of where it is, because I kind of feel like there's some looks being cast my way around where I'm at, and some leading the witness there
I
earlier
look
in the
at
question.
John and Matt all the time, but.
Because, I mean, even your questions around the economic development, the impact of it, economic impact, it's not a question about the economic impact. I think the decision for the project and the Village of Wallen is a key part. I think it's going to be a fruitful relationship for both parties, most likely, I mean, if everyone follows through. So it's not a question about that. For me personally, where I'm still struggling is the question around the viability of it being a commercial project, deemed a commercial project. I think when I look at the IDA and I look at the types of projects that we invest in, I look at the spirit of the IDA, the origin of the IDA, it is meant to be more oriented towards industrial type projects, commercial oriented type projects. This project with the residential purely 100% residential hasn't gotten me to the point where I feel it meets the threshold of the spirit of the IDA. So that's the challenge I'm personally working through as I look through the material. I don't know if any new forthcoming information is going to change that perspective. I think even if you try to reference our policy itself, I believe the spirit of that was meant to be in combination with other industrial elements, so mixed uses and so forth. So it may require us to clarify what that policy is going forward, but to me, that really is the spirit of it, and so that's the challenge. It's not that it's not a great project, it's not that it's not great for the village, it's not that I don't believe both parties will benefit significantly from it or partially from it. It's just purely, does it fit into the origin, the definition, the spirit of what the idea is meant to be? So I just wanted to clarify that. It's not about, again, the economic impact. It was that piece.
Thank you, Tom. Appropriate comments. Anybody else before we move on to our next agenda item? Very good. We'll move on to the draft budget discussion for 2022. Thank you all. Connor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So yearly, the IDA needs to submit a budget to the Authority Budgets Office for the Paris reporting. This is generally due, we got it in November last year. Ideal time is to submit it in October. For Paris purposes, the line items here reflect some of the Paris items, just to make it easy for continuity's sake of inputting the information. But we keep it generally simple. So our projected revenue, charges, so fees for services. When we approve a project, that's how an IDA is funded. A portion of that project is a fee to the IDA. So we budget $150,000 in fee revenue. I think we could surpass that just based on what I'm seeing, but I figured we keep it consistent from last year. That assumes one large project or at least two or a handful of small to mid-sized projects. Other operating revenues generally are interest on the bank accounts and miscellaneous revenues that have been forecasted out to this point, so we're at $1,500. Projected revenue, $151,500. Projected expenses, very similar to last year. We keep salaries and wages at $75,000. Professional services, which includes legal, secretarial, audit services, is $35,000. Marketing and web services, that assumes we decide to revamp our website, put out additional marketing materials different than what we did this year. I put that in for $25,000. And then other operating expenses, which can be conferences, getting pens and paper for the office, anything else that might come up on my budget at $15,000, bringing our projected surplus deficit to $1,500 in the green. Very similar to last year. And IDA budgets are generally simple, especially smaller IDAs. When you get into larger IDAs, they get significantly more complex, but we try to keep it simple in this, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Questions? It seems to me, because so many things are out of our control, it's hard to pinpoint a budget other in a general manner, and I think that's what you've done here, Connor. It's a matter of projects, a matter of other things we legally can participate in. And how would the process move forward on a decision here?
So ideally, I would like to get this budget submitted to the state before the end of October. So we could hold a special Zoom meeting with the only agenda item being approved this budget, unless we wanted to approve it at this meeting. But I would like to approve this before November and get it in earlier than we did last year, particularly 60 days before the start of the next fiscal year on January 1st. So it's the board's prerogative. We could hold an additional meeting if you guys want more time to look it through, or we could do it at this meeting if there's comfort.
I presume if you make a motion, it would be thinking we should make a decision now, so I would welcome that.
I'll make that motion to do it now and to approve it now.
Second by Bob.
Excuse, does the motion also have to be to allow me to input it into
I'm
Paris?
just going to say, I would say a motion to adopt the projected budget for fiscal year 2022 and to authorize the executive director to file the budget report on Paris.
You okay with that? Yes. And Bob? Other discussion on the budget? I would ask for a vote. Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same? All in favor? I don't think we got it on the phone. Okay. Motion approved on the budget with authorization to file by you, Connor, to the ABO, I guess. Is that who you file it
That's
to?
right. Thank you.
For Paris? Mm-hmm.
And I'll quickly go through with the monthly report. So like most months, we're following some leads, interesting hotel and tourism projects, a few industrial projects. And I spent a few days up in Cooperstown at the New York State EDC conference, which was a great experience. There must have been over 70 IDAs there. So it was a good learning experience, picked up on best practices, and really was able to dig into some of the current events with IDAs. We are beginning to film testimonial videos for our marketing with IDA with acquisitions marketing, something we approved last year, but we waited until October just because it's a good time to film in Montgomery. Working on a few marketing materials. One, I'll be on a podcast with the Erie County IDA, something that came out of the Cooperstown visit. And then we're working with SUNY Orange, as we normally do, to try to develop some workforce programming. Matters to take note of, I sent it to the board, but I'll be honored at the SUNY Orange, as the SUNY Orange Outstanding Alumni. So you're all invited, and it would be nice to see you guys there if you so choose. In fact, the public's invited as well. Another matter to take note of is Inform Analytics, our cost-benefit software, is actually going to discontinue their services. So we'll need to find a new cost-benefit analysis software, which I'm already in the process of doing. And then you'll see with the board packet, I included this IDA infograph, and it's kind of a teaser into what New York State EDC is doing. They did a survey, they're taking Paris information, and they're going to put it into what they call an IDA dashboard to more accurately tell the story of the IDAs across New York State. And you'll see a few of these metrics are interesting. I'm going to post on the website as well, but it shows some of the projects IDAs have taken on, emerging activities, and a key point in this, and something I picked up at the conference is people in Albany are working to modernize the IDA statute. What they mean by that is, for one, taking out racetrack projects that were put in the statute and was first created, which shows how almost outdated it is, but also talking about more nuanced projects like housing, working to put that in the statute, and just working with IDAs to understand the needs and providing clarity on projects and more 21st century projects we see across the state. So that's it in a nutshell, and I'd be happy to answer any questions on the conference or anything that's going on. Thanks.
Connor, the Leadership Award you mentioned is the SUNY Orange Foundation putting this on. It's a fundraising effort for the college, and you're one of the alumni honorees, so congratulations for that. I do plan to attend. I don't know. Were you attending that, Matt?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I gotta look at it. It's
But-
not big. I'd like to, though.
I would encourage anyone who can to participate in that. And as Connor mentioned, that's open to the public. And the date is October 28th at 5:30 in the afternoon. It's kind of neat because it's at the Newburgh Armory Unity Center on William Street in Newburgh. And do they know how they're handling the event? Is it sit down or, Connor?
I believe it is a sit-down event with
Okay.
networking opportunity and things of that nature.
I might note it requires proof of vaccination. Any other comments, questions on Connor's report? It sounded like a very worthwhile conference that you attended.
I just have one question. Do we have any other companies for the cost-benefit analysis?
Yeah, so there's a company that does almost an identical service out of Albany that the EDC is recommending, and I'll be talking with them to see,
Okay.
maybe get a
Yeah, I
demo
just
of their
wanna know if you
service.
had something on the
Yeah,
horizon.
it's an important thing we need to have. So we have this tool until January 1st, 2022, and then they discontinue. So we'll need to have something lined up.
All right, thank you.
And right now, after today, we only have 2 meetings scheduled for the rest of the year. We could add something if we need to, but to have a decision on that, a way forward by the first of the year makes sense.
Yes, it does.
Financial report, please, Matt.
Yes, all right. Beginning checkbook balance from last report is $349,295.42. Checks for this month, Nugent and Hausler, audit, $5,500. Acquisition and marketing, $150. Burke, Mealy, Golden, and Naughton, $5,708.25. Megan Halbert, July and August payment of $1,000. Acquisition marketing, $325. Acquisition marketing again, photo session, headshots.
You're expensive, Connor.
$250. New York State Economic Development Council of $150, and New York State Economic Development Council again of $425, bringing the checkbook balance to, or the checks written for the month, $335,787.70. I'm sorry, that's the checkbook balance. Now, Sailfish Escrow, checkbook beginning balance of $12,535, and a check was sent out for Loki Brill Consulting of $1,185, bringing that checkbook account balance to $11,350. Walden Construction Enterprise Escrow, checkbook beginning balance of nothing, deposit of $5,000, and a check written to A.C. Harlan Clark of $198.20, bringing that balance to $4,801.80. Orange Bank and Trust, $335,787.17. Orange Bank and Trust Sailfish Escrow account at $11,350. Orange Bank and Trust Money Market at $455,981.55. And Orange Bank and Trust Walden Construction Enterprise Escrow of $4,801.80. And Orange Bank and Trust, nothing there, so that brings you a grand total of $807,920.52.
Thank you, Matt. Tom, question?
Yeah, Matt, a question for you. I can't recall this answer or not, but are we required to keep our accounts in FDIC insured accounts? And
Yeah, yes, Tom, and they are, both of our accounts are in the FDIC insured accounts.
Are we required, though, to keep them within the limits of the insurance? Because it's a $250,000
That's a good question.
Right.
insurance.
That's a good question, and I could reach out to the bank, but last we speak, and we spoke to her recently, and on that exact FDIC, last you brought it up, and she said, we're fine with what we have, and it was still in the general ballpark, but I'll,
Yeah, it looks like we have
follow
a couple of accounts that are over it, so just
Yep.
note it.
And part of that question might be if it's $250 for each account.
Multiple, add a couple of accounts or shift them, something.
Good catch.
And at times, we've had CDs for better rates, but those better rates have been pretty few and far between recently, but it's something we want to keep our eyes open to a little bit, for sure.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question.
Yes, John,
Is this the last check we have to write to Loki Brill?
you asked that last month.
Yes, huh? I mean, the building's about done.
So the final portion of that project is the Haber House. So I believe right now they're subdividing that before the planning board, but I don't think they need to go back. If they do, it's Haber House related, which is this last lingering issue. And then I believe the escrow money in the Sailfish account gets returned to Sailfish.
All right, thank you.
And would that process involve the local labor policy possibly?
So the Haber House process required local labor. So they used, I think, Standback General Contracting, which is out of Orange County, to move the house and do the structural work,
Okay.
things like that. So it was local.
Because the house was moved a while ago, but they've been finishing the refurbish of it. So maybe you could check with Loki Brew, because it seems at the very least it should be a pretty minimal amount for the next month or two. I would entertain a motion to accept the financial report. If
I'll
anyone-
make that motion.
By John Dixon, second by Tom. Thank you. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Our next meeting is scheduled for November 9th, 2021, but we may look at shifting that if it works better for people's schedule. Anything else we need to discuss today?
Did you want to discuss possible dates for shifting that meeting, or did you want to wait?
I can,
You have a conflict?
I do, I'm going to be on an airplane then, so
All right.
I probably won't be able to Zoom in either. And we do have an expected important decision to make at that meeting. I could do it a week earlier on Tuesday at 1 PM.
That's election day, isn't it?
November 2nd, yeah.
The 1 week earlier is election day.
Okay,
Duh.
so what about, let's see,
Could you do it the Monday before?
yeah, I could do that, the 11th. That's a good idea.
November
The
11th.
8th, or?
11?
Oh, wait a minute, I'm sorry, I'm looking at the wrong one. I could do the 8th, yes. How's that look? John's good?
I'm good for
Matt?
that.
I think I'm good for that.
It's Monday, November 8th?
Yes.
Yeah.
You
Yes,
okay, Tom?
yes.
Well, should we would take some action right now to,
Sure, you could do a motion to reschedule the November meeting to November 8th, 2021 at 1 o'clock PM.
and you or Rick would be able to make it?
Yes.
I would entertain that motion to shift our meeting one day earlier to the 8th of November at 1 PM.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, John, second by Bob. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same? Motion carried. Thank you, Ashley. Anything else we should discuss today? Think we're good. Motion to adjourn would be appropriate.
I'll make that motion.
You're full of it, John. Motion by John Dixon, second to that motion. Bob, thanks for being here. Bob has a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Thank you, everybody.